I was still half asleep when my phone started buzzing nonstop. The screen lit up with dozens of notifications. At first, I thought Sarah had posted another one of her TikToks. She'd been on a streak lately, posting 5 or 6 times a day. But this time, every message said the same thing. Dude, what the hell is going on with your sister? Bro, is this real? What kind of sick trend is this? I scrolled through my feed, confused. Sarah's profile was everywhere. The comments were flooding in, thousands of them. People arguing, some saying she was lying, others claiming she'd lost her mind. Her last video had just gone viral. The caption said, "Please pray for my family. We're broken." Her face looked pale, her voice trembling, but it felt staged, like she was acting for the camera. At that point, I didn't know anything yet. I just thought she'd finally snapped from all the online pressure. But deep down, something felt wrong. Not in a mysterious, cinematic way. Just the kind of tight, gut-level dread when your brain knows something's off before you do. I tried calling Mom. No answer. Then I tried Mark, my stepdad. Same. I told myself they were probably asleep, but the silence on the line felt heavy. I decided to drive over. The neighborhood was quiet when I got there. Mom's car was still in the driveway, and the curtains were drawn even though the sun was up. That alone was strange. Mom hated dark rooms. I noticed Sarah's car parked crooked, halfway over the curb like she'd arrived in a hurry and didn't care. Inside, the air smelled like cleaning products, mixed with something sharp. I called out their names. No answer. I moved through the house carefully, trying not to make a sound. The TV in the living room was still on. One of Sarah's TikToks was playing. Her voice echoed through the house. Loss changes you, but healing is beautiful. There was a long pause before I opened the door to the kitchen. I don't think anything in my life could have prepared me for that moment. Mom was on the floor, eyes open, blood pooling beneath her head. Mark was nearby, slumped against the counter. Both of them were gone. It didn't look like a robbery. It looked deliberate, controlled. I stepped back, my body shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I wanted to call the police, but I froze when I saw something else. Sarah's camera stand near the kitchen island pointed right at them. The red recording light was on. I couldn't understand what I was seeing. The idea that my own sister might have done this didn't make sense. But then again, she hadn't been herself for months. Sarah had become addicted to being seen. Every day was a performance. She filmed herself cooking, crying, praying, and even talking to herself about healing and growth. She'd fake breakdowns and upload them for sympathy. The comments fed her. When they slowed down, she'd post something more extreme. A few weeks ago, she started talking about becoming her own story. She said people would finally understand her pain once they heard the full thing. I thought she was being dramatic. Everyone thought that. Nobody imagined she meant something like this. Before calling the cops, I went to her room. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to see if she was there. Maybe part of me wanted proof that this wasn't her. But when I opened the door, the walls were covered with screenshots. Her TikToks, articles about viral murders, and posts from true crime creators. Notes scribbled everywhere. Timing, engagement, they'll talk about me. Her computer was still on. The screen showed a message she'd sent to a creator. I think it'd be a great hit if you covered my parents' death. My stomach turned. I felt like I stepped out of reality. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Something creaked upstairs. Not a random house sound. Definite movement. I froze halfway between the kitchen and the hallway, staring up at the landing. Then she appeared. Sarah was barefoot, wearing one of Mom's oversized sweaters. Her hair was sticking to her face, and her phone light was on, pointed straight at me. She didn't say anything at first, Just stood there breathing through her nose like she'd been crying for hours but couldn't stop smiling. "You weren't supposed to come yet. You ruined it." Her voice cracked on ruined, but her face didn't move. She came down 2 steps, the phone still recording. "They were supposed to find me first, not you. You mess everything up, always." I stepped back terrified. "Sarah, what did you do with Mom and Mark?" She tilted her head, then looked past me toward the kitchen, like she was surprised I didn't know. "You didn't see them? They're part of it now." Her tone wavered between calm and playful, like she was talking about a project she'd been working on. Then she started laughing. Not loud, not manic, just small bursts that didn't match her face. "You know what's funny? Nobody ever cared before. I posted, I cried, I screamed, and nothing. But now they care. All of them. Thousands, maybe millions." She took another step. The light hit her hand, and that's when I saw it. Dried blood up to her wrist. She followed my eyes, looked at her own hand, then wiped it absently on the sweater. "It's gross, I know. I didn't think it'd be this messy." I backed away toward the door, trying to keep my voice steady. "Sarah, put the phone down. We need to talk." Sarah looked at me like she didn't understand the sentence. Then her expression hardened. "You're not taking this from me." She started pacing in circles, muttering to herself, switching between half sentences and fragments of what sounded like TikTok captions. "It's healing. It's a journey. They love the raw stuff." Then louder. "You think they don't see me? They see everything." The sound of her voice filled the house. I tried to edge toward the side hallway, but she snapped the phone around and aimed it at me. "Stop moving. You'll make it look fake." "What are you talking about?" She blinked confused for a second, then smiled like she remembered something. "You'll understand once it's done. I just need something real. Something nobody could scroll past." That's when I realized she was trying to escape or hide. She wanted this. All of it. To be seen. I made a move toward her, trying to grab the phone, but she lunged first. The knife came out of nowhere. I felt the heat slice across my arm, shallow but sharp. She laughed, an ugly choked sound that didn't even sound human anymore. "Now it's real. They'll feel that." I pushed her back hard as she stumbled against the counter, the phone falling to the floor. She picked up the knife again. "I didn't want to hurt them," she said, voice shaking. "But they kept talking while I was filming. They wouldn't stop." She raised her head slowly. "You were supposed to be next week." The sentence hit me like a gunshot. I didn't wait. I ran. The front door wouldn't open at first. She locked it. My fingers fumbled with the latch, blood dripping down my arm. Behind me, her footsteps scraped against the floor. "You'll ruin it. It's not finished. I didn't finish the ending." I kicked the door open and stumbled onto the porch. She screamed behind me, not from pain, but from pure rage. "Don't you dare leave me here alone. You hear me? They'll forget if you go." Neighbors came out when they heard the yelling. I ran straight into the yard. Someone called 911. I looked back once and saw her standing in the doorway, covered in red, holding her phone up again like she was addressing an audience. "I forgive you," she said into the camera. "We all heal differently." By the time the police arrived, she was sitting cross-legged on the porch steps, humming softly. The phone balanced on her knee. She didn't resist when they cuffed her, didn't ask for a lawyer, just kept repeating, it was trending already. They told me later that she'd scheduled a post for the next 3 days. Pre-recorded videos about grief, acceptance, and love, all filmed before the murders. It's been months now. Her account is still active, frozen in time. Thousands of comments, people still writing prayers for her. I can't scroll TikTok anymore. Every time I open it, someone's dissecting her clips, slowing them down, pretending to decode her mind. They make theories, edits, even songs using her voice. It's not grief anymore. It's entertainment. I went back to the house once, just to get what was left of Mom's things. Her phone was still in the kitchen drawer. When I turned it on, there was an unsent draft saved in Sarah's account. No hashtags, no filters, just a single shot of her sitting on the floor whispering to the camera. I did it right this time. They finally see me. The file ended there. No outro, no cut, no music. Sometimes when I think about the last clip, I wonder if she ever saw us as people. Maybe we were just footage, background noise for the story she wanted to tell. And the worst part is, she got exactly what she wanted. The following story is inspired by the case of Sarah Grace Patrick, a TikToker accused of murdering her mother and stepfather. The person who discovered the bodies was Patrick's younger sister, aged 5 or 6. Sarah was the one who made the 911 call. One of the aspects that caught people's attention was Patrick's social media activity after the crime. Posts on TikTok asking for prayers for healing. Stories of loss and messages directed at true crime creators to cover the case. At the time of the latest posts, no clear motive for the crime has been made public.
My name's Leah. I'm 18, and for the record, I didn't plan any of this. Things just got out of hand. Before it all went to hell, my life was the same as any other girl in Hellman. School, part-time job at the cafe, wasting hours on TikTok like everyone else. My friends and I used to laugh at stupid videos, make dumb lip syncs, and post filters that made us look like someone else. That's how everything started. A stupid app. There was this girl, Dana. Everyone knew her. Tall, perfect hair, the kind of face that got likes no matter what she posted. We were never friends, but she followed me for a while. Then out of nowhere, she blocked me. I didn't even notice until my classmates started asking if I'd seen the account. It was a TikTok page with my name on it. Or well, a nickname they made up. They posted videos making fun of me. Slow-motion clips from class, taken without me noticing. My face distorted. Captions saying I looked like a rat. The comments were full of laughing emojis. The username had Dana's style all over it. At first, I thought it would fade away like every other thing online. But it didn't. It got worse. Every day there was a new post. Someone filmed me walking home, eating, even talking to my friends. It felt like the walls of the city were closing in on me. I tried reporting it, but TikTok just sent an automated message. My mom told me to ignore it. My dad said it was just kids being idiots. But it wasn't just that. They were hunting me online. Then came the messages. Anonymous accounts sending me threats. Comments saying things like, "Wait till we see you after school." I knew it was Dana's group. 5 girls, all younger except her. I didn't even know their names. I only knew their laughs. One Friday night, I snapped. I sent a message to Dana on Instagram, told her to stop hiding behind fake accounts. She answered instantly, saying we could talk in person. "Let's clear things up tomorrow, behind the mall." That's where everything went wrong. I got there early. The parking lot was half empty. The wind carried plastic bags and the sound of a bike chain hitting metal. I stood near the fence, trying to act like I wasn't nervous. I kept looking at my phone, pretending I had control. Then they came. All 5 of them. Dana was in the middle, her hair tied up, wearing that smug smile she always had in her videos. The other 4 were holding their phones like they were ready to film a concert. I felt my stomach twist. Dana walked up to me and said it was funny how I thought she'd stop just because I cried about it online. Her friends laughed. I told her I just wanted it to end. She said it would. Then she nodded to one of the girls. They surrounded me. I remember the cold metal of a phone pressed to my face, the red recording light. Someone pushed me from behind. I fell hard. Dana kicked my ribs while the others shouted things I can't forget. They ripped my jacket, grabbed my hair, and pulled. One of them took out scissors. I froze, but my body kept shaking. The sound of hair being cut filled my ears. I tried covering my head, but fists kept coming from every side. Someone screamed, "Get her face! Get it on camera!" When they were done, they left me lying there, blood dripping from my lip, hair scattered on the ground. I saw one of them checking the video, laughing, saying it would go viral. Dana looked down at me and said, "Now you're famous." Then they walked away. I didn't cry, not there. I just stood up and walked home. Every step burned. My head was buzzing. My mom screamed when she saw me. My dad called the police, but they said they'd investigate. That word meant nothing. 2 days later, the video went up. It had over 100,000 views before I could even report it. Hashtags everywhere. Comments saying I deserved it, that it was just a prank. I stayed in my room for days. Every sound from my phone made my heart race. Then, something inside me changed. I stopped feeling scared. It was like a switch flipped. I started watching the video over and over again, focusing on Dana's face, the way she smiled when she hit me, the sound of her voice echoing in my head. I wanted it gone. I wanted her gone. I started following her TikTok again, but from a fake account. I saw her posting dances, smiling like nothing had happened. The comments were full of hearts, people calling her brave. My stomach twisted every time. I couldn't sleep anymore. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. One night, I went to my dad's tool shed. He fixes bikes sometimes, keeps his tools in perfect order. There was a small hatchet hanging by the window, the kind you use to split wood. My fingers wrapped around the handle before I even thought about it. For days, I carried it in my backpack. I didn't plan anything, at least not consciously. But my body knew something was coming. Every time I saw Dana's face on my screen, I felt closer to doing it. It happened one evening at the park near the school. Dana and her friends were filming another video, music blasting from a speaker. People walking by, laughing, not caring. I walked up slowly, keeping my hood on. My heartbeat felt like gunshots in my chest. When I got close, Dana turned. Her smile froze when she saw me. She started to say something, maybe a joke, but I was already moving. The hatchet hit her shoulder first. I didn't even feel my hand move. The sound it made, dull, wet, cut through the music. She screamed, tried to run, but I pulled it out and swung it again. The others backed away, phones still in their hands, frozen. I hit her again and again until the screaming stopped. Her friends didn't even help her. They just stood there, shaking, some crying. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I dropped the hatchet. My hands were covered in red. For a few seconds, everything was silent, except the music still playing from the speaker. Then I heard people shouting, running. Someone called the police. I didn't move. I looked down at what was left of her face and felt nothing, just empty. The cops dragged me away while everyone filmed. I saw the red recording lights everywhere, the same light from that night behind the mall. It didn't even feel real. It's been 4 months. They keep me in a white room now. I'm not allowed to have anything sharp. They say I'm under observation. The nurses smile at me like I'm a child. I know they've seen the video. Everyone has. They say I'll stay here for a long time. I don't mind. I don't need to go outside anymore. I see everything on the screen they bring me. News reports, reaction videos, people talking about the girl with the hatchet. They debate if I'm a monster or a victim. I watch all of it. Sometimes I hear Dana's voice in the hallway. I know it's not real, but when the lights flicker, I see her standing by the door, her face split open, whispering the same words she said before kicking me. Now you're famous. And she's right. I am. The following story is inspired by an incident that took place in April 2021 in Helmond, a small town in the south of the Netherlands. The victim was beaten up by 5 of her schoolmates after they created a hate account on TikTok to mock her. While they were beating her, others recorded everything on their phones. The victim fell to the ground and suffered a skull contusion, severe bruising, and a concussion. She was hospitalized but survived. The video circulated among teenagers in the neighborhood and then reached the police. The attackers were arrested and released into the custody of their parents. Their identities are kept anonymous.
The following story is inspired by the case of Mary Ann Oliver Snow, a TikTok content creator and cosplayer charged with manslaughter and homicide for the murder of her friend, Helen Hastings. The incident occurred on January 17, 2021, when Snow invited a group of her friends to her home in Houston for a Batman cosplay gathering. In the midst of a party with heavy drinking, Snow pulled out a gun that she said she had inherited or that her ex-boyfriend had left at her house. Snow claimed she thought the gun was unloaded. According to the police report, Snow pointed the gun at Hastings, who was joking, "Ooh, shoot me," and when she pulled the trigger, the gun fired. Hastings died from the gunshot wound. I didn't even want to be there. Cosplay parties weren't my thing, but everyone in our group was going, and I didn't want to be the only one who stayed at home. It was Houston, some 2-story house that smelled like cheap vodka, sweat, and fake leather. Half the people were dressed like comic book villains, the other half like drunk superheroes. Music was blasting, lights were flashing, and everyone was recording something for TikTok. Mary Ann was in the center of it all, like always. Dressed as a character from Batman, she walked through the crowd like the night belonged to her. Helen was there too, dressed up and glowing. The rivalry between them wasn't exactly subtle. Helen had been gaining more followers. That burned Mary Ann alive. I was sitting on the floor near a fake Gotham skyline made of cardboard, the kind of cheap prop influencers think looks cinematic. People shouted lines and fake fought in front of ring lights, desperate for views. I drank something that burned going down and smelled like cough syrup. Then I saw Mary Ann walking toward the hallway where everyone had thrown their coats and bags. She wasn't smiling like she usually did. Her face was tight, focused. I followed without really thinking. The hallway was colder and quiet, muffled by the noise from the living room. Mary Ann was standing next to the pile of coats. She hadn't noticed me yet. She was holding something wrapped in an old jacket. When she turned around and saw me, her whole expression changed. She tilted her head a little, like she was sizing me up. She thinks she's better than me. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. I didn't answer. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the alcohol on her breath. You see it too? Everyone does. She takes everything that's mine. I tried to move past her, but she stepped in front of me again. She pressed whatever she was holding against her hip. I could tell it was hard, heavy. They're going to remember me. Not her, me. Then she gave me a smile, not wide, not fake, a small, sharp smile that didn't look like something a drunk girl would make. Then she just walked away carrying the wrapped object like it was a prize. I should have stopped her. I didn't. The noise hit me again as soon as I stepped back into the living room. Mary Ann was gone for a few minutes. Nobody noticed. Everyone was too busy filming, dancing, screaming. When she came back, she held the jacket like it was part of some performance. People started pointing cameras at her immediately. She loved that. She walked slow, making sure everyone was looking. Helen was filming herself at that moment, posing in character. Mary Ann raised her voice just enough to cut through the noise. She said she had something real for the next TikTok. The way she said real didn't sound playful. She unwrapped the jacket, and the gun was there. A black pistol. She said it used to belong to her ex. The whole room shifted without anyone wanting to say it out loud. Nobody laughed, but nobody stopped her either. A guy yelled that she was crazy. Mary Ann ignored him. Helen laughed, pretending it was a joke. For a while, nothing happened. She waved the gun around like it was a prop. She pointed it at the TV, at a mirror, at random people. The crowd half laughed, half held its breath. Then she turned toward Helen, and everything went quiet, even with the music still blasting. Helen lifted her hand, still filming. She thought it was part of a bit. Mary Ann started circling her, slow and deliberate. Her finger rested on the trigger like it belonged there. Helen laughed again, nervous this time. She said something like, "Shoot me," trying to make it sound light. But nobody moved. It wasn't acting anymore. You could feel the air tighten without anyone saying a word. She wasn't smiling now. She was focused. She lifted the gun higher. Helen didn't back away. She didn't believe Mary Ann would actually do it. None of us did. The click came first. Then the flash. The bullet hit Helen's chest, just to the left. The sound was dull, thick. She fell backward, her phone hitting the floor before she did. The music kept playing for a few seconds like the house hadn't realized what happened. Then a bottle hit the floor and someone screamed. Panic spread fast. People ran to the door. Others started yelling. Mary Ann didn't move. She just stood there with the gun in her hand like the world around her didn't matter anymore. Helen was bleeding out on the carpet, the red growing wide. Mary Ann said it was an accident. Too fast, too clean. The cops weren't there yet. Nobody touched Helen. A few tried to call 911. Some deleted videos. Others just froze. Mary Ann sat down next to Helen, not crying. She whispered to herself again and again that it wasn't loaded. Her hands weren't shaking. She looked almost calm. Then she looked straight at me. Her lips twitched into a tiny smile. Not sorry, not scared. Proud. I remembered the hallway, how she said everyone would remember her. She kept repeating the same line about the gun, but she never once said she was sorry. The sirens came distant at first, then closer. Some people were outside screaming. The cops kicked the door open, pushed through the chaos, and grabbed Mary Ann. She didn't fight, she didn't cry. She just stared straight ahead like she'd already accepted what came next. As they cuffed her, she looked at Helen one last time. She whispered something, too soft to hear. I didn't want to know what it was. The fake Gotham skyline was stained dark. A ring light kept flashing like a heartbeat. I walked out and didn't look back. I didn't want to see her face again. A week later, her face was everywhere. Old videos of her laughing and posing, now playing next to news headlines calling her a killer. People online argued, accident, intent, fame. They didn't see her in that hallway. They didn't see that smile. The house was cleaned up. The blood was gone, but that moment wasn't. Every time I close my eyes, I still see her standing by the coats, holding that jacket like a trophy. Helen's page is still online. Her face loops forever on a screen while Mary Ann's plays on the news. Then every time I see a TikTok with a fake gun, my stomach turns. Because I remember the sound. And that smile. I should have said something.